The howl of Black Tor, the Peak District, has a wild, unforgiving beauty. It's a land of ancient stone, rolling heather, and a silence that can feel both peaceful and deeply unnerving. I went there seeking the former. For 3 years, I'd been a wild camper, finding solace in the isolation. I thought I knew the sounds of the moors, the tricks of the light at dusk. I was wrong. My destination was Black Tor, a remote gritstone outcrop far from the well-trodden paths. I pitched my small tent in its shadow as the autumn sun began to bleed across the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and orange. That's when I first felt it, not a sound, but the absence of it. The birds had fallen silent. The distant bleating of sheep had ceased. The air grew heavy, still, and cold. An hour before dusk, I went to collect water from a small stream. That's where I found the tracks. They were pressed deep into the damp peat beside the water. They were canine, no doubt, but impossibly large. I've seen badger and fox prints, even the rare hoofprint of a red deer. These were different. The stride between them was too long for any four-legged animal I knew of, and the prints themselves were the size of my outstretched hand. A chilling thought surfaced. It looked like a massive dog had walked through here, on 2 legs. I shook my head, dismissing it as a trick of the terrain, and hurried back to my tent. As darkness finally consumed the moor, a smell drifted on the wind. It was a rank, primal scent, the musk of a wet dog mixed with something else, something coppery and foul, like an old abattoir. I zipped my tent up tight, my heart thumping a nervous rhythm against my ribs. The first sound came around midnight. It wasn't a bark or a growl. It was a low, guttural breathing sound, so deep it seemed to vibrate through the ground beneath my sleeping bag. It was close, too close. I lay frozen, every muscle tensed, listening to that slow, raspy inhale and exhale just outside the thin nylon wall of my tent. Then, a new sound, the scrape of a claw against stone. Slow, deliberate. Panic overrode reason. I had to see. My hands trembling, I unzipped a tiny fraction of the tent flap, just enough to peer out. The moon was hidden by thick cloud, but the darkness wasn't total. Against the slightly paler sky, I could see a silhouette standing on the ridge of Black Tor, maybe 50 yards away. It wasn't a man. It was too tall, too lean, its posture unnaturally stooped. As I watched, it lowered itself onto all fours with a fluidity that made my stomach clench. It was massive, its shoulders broad and powerful. It sniffed the air, its head turning in my direction. Then, it did something that shattered my understanding of the natural world. It rose again, effortlessly, back onto 2 long, digitigrade legs. It stood there, a towering canine form against the night sky, its head crowned with pointed ears. I couldn't breathe. I saw no detail, only that impossible shape and the glint of what I knew, instinctively, were its eyes, reflecting a faint light that wasn't there. It began to move down the slope towards me. It didn't run, it loped, a horrifying, limping gait that was part wolf, part man. I didn't scream. The sound was trapped in my throat. I scrambled out of my tent, leaving everything behind, and ran blindly across the treacherous, uneven ground. I didn't look back, but I could hear it. The heavy, rhythmic panting, the crush of its feet on the heather. It wasn't chasing me, it was stalking me, hurting me. I ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave way, collapsing behind a low, crumbling stone wall and old sheepfold. I crawled inside, pressing myself into the corner, making myself small. Moments later, the heavy breathing was outside the wall, circling. A long, dark snout appeared over the top of the stones, sniffing. Its nostrils flared. I squeezed my eyes shut, waiting for the end, but it never came. I spent the entire night huddled in that ruin, listening to the creature circle and scrape at the stones. Just before dawn, a long, mournful howl echoed across the moors, a sound of pure, predatory loneliness. And then, silence. When the first rays of sun touched the land, I crawled out. It was gone. The tracks were there, a terrifying confirmation in the morning light. I walked for 5 hours, not stopping once, until I reached the nearest village. I never told the police. What could I say? I never went back to the moors. I didn't find peace in that wilderness. I found proof that some legends are born from a shadowed truth, and that some things are better left undisturbed in the vast, silent dark.